The Alabama Department of Corrections is pushing back on claims in federal court, arguing their chronic short staffing issues are not as bad as some are arguing in court.
WAAY 31's senior reporter Matt Kroschel continues our months-long deep dive into the prison crisis now at 5. Matt, what else are you learning about this lawsuit in federal court?
All right, so this lawsuit is Edward Braggs versus John Hamm, commissioner of ADOC. ADOC lawyers pushing back now on some of the claims. And, you know, the plaintiff's attorneys actually used the ADOC's own staffing quarterly reports when they filed some of this paperwork in court. And ADOC now saying that they got it wrong. They misused those numbers by inflating the maximum staffing levels and deflating the number of overall staff by failing to include some members. So technically, they're just going back and forth about the data about exactly how bad this staffing shortage is. So they are going back and forth on this one. But right now, ADOC says they are struggling to find more people to work despite attempts to raise pay, offer incentives and bonuses. ADOC also defending themselves, saying they've added recruitment staff and they've brought on several outside consultants. But so far, according to our reviews of staffing documents and firsthand accounts from employees, they're still failing to staff prisons to even their own internal minimum staffing levels on some shifts. And a civil rights attorney I spoke with on this issue says the fact that they are trying to play numbers games is more proof that ADOC is nowhere close to coming up with a real solution.
And you look at these kinds of submissions that are sort of just lawyer talk disconnected from reality. It's terribly frustrating because this thing is a real problem that can get out from under you very quickly. But we all know that if you have a very large population of people, many of whom are dangerous, many of whom suffer from mental health issues, and you have absolutely no pretense of trying to hire enough correctional officers to deal with the problem, and you want to say, oh, it's not that bad, what's going to happen? Does that take it's not rocket science.
So ADOC says, hey, look at the state's unemployment rate, 2.9%, even lower rates of unemployment where some of these prisons are located. They say that's the reason behind the limited availability of eligible employees that, quote, frustrates ADOC's efforts to recruit and retain correctional staff. ADOC says they've also retained 3 recruiting and retention consulting firms to assist the state in coming up with strategies to finding and keeping correctional staff. And they've also started a big advertising campaign and a, quote, strong social media presence. Now, this response to the motion was actually sent out to the parties involved, including the Southern Poverty Law Center and the Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program on August 12th. So far, a judge has not weighed in. Live in Huntsville, Matt Kroschel, WAAY 31 News.
Matt, thanks. And Matt's back at 6 with the drastic measures some believe the ADOC must take in order to solve the hiring crisis.